Dodge, Yahoo, Phantom of the Forest, you Spear, Finger, Fire Dragon, Ohio Grassman, Silver Giant, Bloodless Howler, West Virginia Vampire, Coyote King, Hogzilla, Devil, Dark Coyote Killer. Cave creature, Mothman, Smoke Wolf, Lizard Demon, Ashman, Grafton Monster, Cow-killing Bastard, Shadow Creature, Dustman, Cherokee, Death Cat, Wildman, Great Fire Rape. What else do I have to say? Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the Bigfeets. Snallygaster, Rogue Team, Red Island Bear Beast, Silver Giant, Squalling Savage, Black Wolf was kind of average, Stone Giant, Raven, Mocker, Midnight Whistler, Wampus Beast, Wawa Woman, Ohio Grassman again. Technically Huckleberry, Wolfman, or Wolf County, need to find the X again if we hunt the Lightning Man. Webster's Werewolf, Daily Howl, Kentucky Hellhound, Little Girl, Headless Horror, I can't take it anymore. Steal yourself some chicken wire, and I'll get some lumber. Catch the Thunder Brothers. Don't you dare get out of the golf cart. We can keep our big seats while we hunt the Bigfeet.
This here's Bigfeets, and we just learned we're not the only ones watching the Ames team. More on that later, or just as likely never. I'm Robert Brockway, and I'm the only member of Wild Bill's OnlyFans. It's real tasteful stuff.
And I'm Sean Baby. I'm currently the only foreign national to teach special tactics at the Mexico City Police Institute, now using my proprietary application technology called Duke's Fast. Focus, action, skill, strategy, tactics. 2 S's.
And I am best-selling author Jason Pargin. And we're here to discuss, before we get into the plugs, everybody brace yourselves because we're about to discuss the most shocking moment in the history of television.
God, the twist.
It's going to come late in the episode, but we want people to know now, if you are driving when listening to this, do not, if you get to the last 10 minutes or so of this podcast, pull over.
No, keep driving and sue them. They should be held liable for what they've done. It's incredible.
I say drive off the bridge. It's a perfect way to die.
Nobody even knows what we're talking about yet. Jason, you got a book?
Yes. Coming out this fall, or if you're listening to this in the future, maybe it's already out. The book is called I'm Starting to Worry About This Black Box of Doom. It is a standalone novel that is not connected to any other thing I've written. You don't have to have known anything about me prior to now to enjoy this book. It is its own thing. It is up for pre-order in every possible format, including audio. No, I do not read the audiobook. Thank you for asking. That's very kind. No, that would be terrible.
Yeah, it's got to be in your next contract. We gotta get it.
It takes me 20 takes to record one TikTok that's 40 seconds long. No, you do not want me in the studio trying to record 150,000 words of a novel, doing a bunch of voices.
Paul Giamatti it is. You can continue the synergy, your lifelong partnership. Sean, what would you like to plug today?
Oh, I would love to plug 1-900 Hot Dog, which is a website featuring human comedy writers, the final remaining human paid comedy writers. And we do weekly articles or daily articles every weekday about broken artifacts in the wrong dimension, that type of thing. You get it. Funny stuff. Joke dense hilarity from talented, again, well paid, high effort people. It's my worst plug. I just keep thinking about how perfect it would be to drive off a bridge just as you get to the reveal in this podcast. What a legendary way to die.
Yeah, I would like to plug our other podcast, the Dog Zone 9000, where we cover whatever deranged material we feel like. It's a real loose theme. We just covered The Beekeeper, which was Boomer Death Wish for phone scams. It was wonderful. And we've been running bonus episodes lately that you should not listen to because they're all clown offs, and that's exactly what you're worried about. So do subscribe at the level that gets you our hundreds and hundreds of bonus podcasts. Only most of them are about clowns.
I literally don't think either of you have mentioned the Patreon prior to now. I don't think you've said how they can subscribe to this, including to this.
Patreon.com/1900hotdog. We're terrible at this. We need your help so much.
That also funds this show. That's why the show does not have any ads. It is purely funded by that Patreon and, of course, by our friends at Squarespace. If you want to build a beautiful website, enter offer code the Wildman 8 Donna in the box or whatever to make a website that no one will use because people do not go to websites anymore. You need an app. You do not need a website.
We're also sponsored by Buttbox, the adult toy delivery system. It sends you a new butt.
Sean, will you say something legally actionable about Squarespace so that they don't, think we're actually plugging it?
Let's see. I defeated Squarespace in an international full contact karate tournament and set the world record for fastest punch with death at 1.7 punches.
Fucking fantastic. We are here.
There's no way. I'm sorry. There's no way Squarespace is still in business, right? Like, people are not paying for a service to make web pages, are they?
I think they're just in the podcast ad business now.
Yeah.
I think if you went to like their offices, it would be a Dairy Queen. Huh. I guess they've maybe been in my head the whole time. Today we are talking about mountain monsters. It is a hillbilly cryptid hunting quote-unquote reality show. You're probably worried just hearing that, like I was the first time I heard of it, that it's like those ghost hunter shows where just guys go out in the woods and they pretend like they hear the voice of an elderly woman on the wind. Ooh, no, it is like that in format, except for in this show, in Mountain Monsters, in every single episode of Mountain Monsters, they go out in the woods and they fist fight Bigfoot within 5 minutes and they get their fucking asses kicked every single week. And it becomes a wonderful exercise in creating, like a group of men creating together how Bigfoot can dunk on them every single week. It's a fantastic show, and it evolves in crazy directions, one of which is going to happen at the end of this episode. We'll get to it. I gotta avoid talking about it. I'll get too excited. Our cast is Trapper. He's the leader. Huckleberry is Bigfoot security. Buck is our rookie collar and husky ninja, and maybe my boyfriend. Jeff is our hillbilly research scientist. Willie is the Trapper, and Wild Bill is the tracker. He's not those things. I don't know what he does. He's Heart. He's Heart in the Planeteers. You can't do it without him for reasons unspecified. Today we are watching Mountain Monsters Season 2, Episode 3, Bigfoot of Eastern Kentucky.
Really hit the word Kentucky.
Kentucky. So we're going to start off with, as we always do, with Trapper's truck briefing, which takes place in his super duper cab pickup truck, holding all of the Ames team that counts, which is to say not Willie and Wild Bill. I don't know why I would love to see them ride in there, like even just in the back.
They did have Wild Bill in there once, and he really messed up the info dump, like, improv.
It was a disaster.
He fucked it up for Willie. Yeah. Willie would be so well behaved. He's just waiting for his shot.
That's true. Yeah. He'd probably ruin it by taking his phone out and actually looking it up. Oh no, guys! There's no such thing as the creature we're hunting.
Jeff, everything you just said was the stupidest shit I ever heard. I'm reading that off the internet. It just says this. It's on stupidestshiteveverheard.com.
So we're missing Buck, and I want to talk about that right up the top because they have a little. They throw to him, and he's complaining about work, how he's like being kept away from the Ames team from work, and I'm starting to get frustrated by this. I think that maybe they could find a morbidly obese idiot who owns a duck collar who isn't moonlighting. Because, I mean, like, there's so many lives at stake here, is what I'm saying. There's the local mushrooms, grandkids, cows. And then here's some guy who's like, oh, my Dollar Tree manager's being a dick, so you'll have to face down the blood howler of Holler County a man short. We need you here, Buck. And this is starting to affect your real work, Buck. What I'm saying is quit your other job or shut the fuck up about it, I guess is the point I'm trying to make.
I think he's successioning it. I think this is a play. I think that somewhere behind the scenes, Buck thinks he is the heartthrob of the crew. Maybe he's not wrong. I am in no way qualified to judge the reality of that statement.
I used to date a Kirby, so I mean, you're onto something. He's pretty sexy.
I think he's angling. I think this is a play. I think he's playing the producers of Mountain Monsters against the manager of the Dollar Tree to see who wants him more. And I think it's real canny, because I think it works. But yeah, Buck isn't here. Buck gets his own truck briefing where he explains that he has dropped down to a part-time Bigfootist, and that Jeff got an emergency call from a woman in Eastern Kentucky. So as we have theorized in past episodes, they are Hillbilly Monster 911. Like, they do just receive emergency calls and respond in the Monster Mobile.
It establishes a lot of troubling world building because he says that that this woman called the cops and they didn't believe her. She's like, I've got a monster. And they're like, well, we're the police. We don't believe you. So is this the first mention of police in the Mountain Monsters universe?
Yeah.
I feel like they captured a hellhound. They're like, we're going to call the people to deal with this. But they didn't even specify like the authorities they would call for a hellhound. But they definitely don't.
They called animal control that one time.
Okay.
I think that was for the devil dogs.
Can we at least acknowledge what a huge improvement this is? It is yet another thing that should have been there from episode 1, where instead of, hey, we're going after this creature because Jeff happened to look up the Wikipedia entry on it and we're going to go see if it's there. It's urgency.
Yes.
Hey, guys, drop your everyday lives. We got a call from this woman. She's terrified. Everybody gather around the bed of the pickup truck. It's an emergency.
Except for
it's
Buck.
a monster emergency. It's so much. It's so much better this way.
We know Buck's a little busy at work, but otherwise it's quite a life-threatening emergency.
I think they fucked up the urgency. I'm glad it's there.
Of course they screw it up. I'm saying that the idea is an idea they should have had before the pilot. Like this should be Ghostbusters. We're responding to an alarm. Now, obviously, none of it's actually going to work, but still.
Who are you going to call?
Give them credit.
Hillbillies.
To be clear, the emergency is she's got some sort of a creature living on the other side of her pond. And then one night it came to her door. It's kind of menacing, but just from that alone, Trapper knows that is the Wildman, the Eastern Kentucky Bigfoot. I mean, you know the signs. If there's if he lives near a pond and he's trying to get in your house, it's the Wildman Bigfoot of Eastern Kentucky.
He does say, he plays the message for all of them. I just want to say, we start this by being like, Trapper has such a big emergency meeting. He's in such a hurry. He couldn't tell us what it's about. And then they all gather together to listen over the phone to this message. Like, if that was an emergency, she's dead. She has been torn apart while you gathered up the Voltron, this flesh Voltron.
That's what they lead us to believe later in the show, right? This woman.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there because that's a whole other mystery.
I'm sorry to get ahead.
I understand why you're so eager, but we have to take this one. We're going one moment at a time, and it starts with the team. It starts with Buck in his truck, which, by the way, is a brand new pickup. Interesting. Saying that they've gotten a call, an emergency team meeting. This is very rare, never happened before, because they've got a panic call from a woman, and now they've gathered around the bed of a pickup to listen to the recording. Yes, this meeting could have been an email in real life, but please.
It would have saved a life if it was an email. So yeah, as Sean said, Trapper thinks immediately, well, Bigfoot at your door. That sounds like the Wildman, the most aggressive Bigfoot around. He's 7.5 feet tall, jet black fur, 500 pounds, going through an emo phase, beautiful eyes, chiseled cheekbones, looks exactly like a Bigfoot Jared Leto circa 2005.
That's really accurate. He's the size of a fat shack, but with the face of a Leto.
Wearing an emo wig.
Yes.
Listeners, I don't know how to tell you. Go Google Kentucky Wildman. He's wearing an emo wig. I don't know how else to say it.
He's gorgeous. He's exactly my type. He's a scene foot. He comes out during the day. So obviously that means that we will be doing all of our hunting during the day, as we specified. We'll keep that in mind. We'll just keep that in mind.
It would be stupid to hunt at night. If it only is out during the day, why would you have the disadvantage of darkness when it's
right? They're shaking, and as we've proven,
asleep anyway. Yeah.
They're shaking it up. They're shaking up the script. So they're going to do a day hunt, and we're all going to be like, "Whoa!" We end this scene by Trapper saying he's a badass Buck, and Buck says, "I brought 2 guns this time," and he holds up his arms and goes, "Right here." And they all get a good laugh while once again this woman is being torn apart by Jared Leto foots.
A good laugh is too small. They have 19 minutes of triumphant laughter. when Buck says he brought 2 guns.
They're usually very supportive of the attempts at jokes in this episode.
sure.
And I'm not saying that it comes off like they're all incredibly high for this episode, but there are moments when they laugh for a very long time. And even in the edit, it seems like they've cut some laughter out. A couple of notes here. It's that, so Trapper says that the call from the lady is in distress, that the fear in her voice almost brought tears to his eyes. And then they gather around. Now, I do think they dubbed in her call later in the edit. Like, I think they stood around listening to silence, because I feel like the person performing the terrified woman did not really convey panic very much.
Annoyance.
There was a creature, it seemed to be huge. I don't know what it is, but 2 nights ago, it was right at my back door. I think it was trying to get inside. I don't know what to do. So already, this is 2 days later. But interestingly, she says, "This is Donna," and then it bleeps it out. It bleeps out her last name. So I guess her last name was something like Donna Cum. Or something some other curse word, which maybe in that area people have some sort of a slur. I don't know.
It's the one word, the only word they can't play on
It
television.
could be, her name might be Donna Cool Ranch Doritos. And they
Oh,
have
yeah,
a different
right,
sponsor for the show.
yeah.
Yeah.
They can't get those. They can't get those sponsorships in there. So I would like to do a little audience segment here. It's called Audience, Can You Guess What Jeff is About to Say? That's right. The Wildman was first spotted in Kentucky in the 1700s by the Shawnee Indians. Every single time. They had named him Quashni. And he says, Jeff goes on to say, but he's nothing but a damn mean savage 300 years back of killing people.
You skipped over maybe my favorite part of it when he said they named him Quashni. And then he kind of thinks about it. He goes, which means Bigfoot in Shawnee. And I don't know why that's so funny to me. I actually have in my notes, like, tried to figure out why this is funny to you. I think it's because he made it up, first of all. But also, like, the fact that it just translates directly to a word that already exists. It's just really funny to me that I don't know. I still don't know.
It's not their word for the creature. Quashni literally means Bigfoot, which happens to be what they also called Bigfoot.
It's
They also
incredible.
just name him Bigfoot.
And
of
listeners,
course.
he pulled all of this out of his ass. This creature, because we sometimes ask you before now, is the Wildman, is this a real known cryptid, as in an existing legend or something they made up for the show? If there is a Wildman, there are cryptids called the Wildman. In terms of one in that area that was known by the Shawnee, I can find no evidence anywhere of that, and certainly not that they had a name for it.
Wildman is Bigfoot, and it's more of a synonym for Bigfoot. Like some other people just call the Bigfoot Wildman, and there's also it's the direct translation of the Chinese word for Bigfoot, which I guess is also fun. In short, Jeff doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Nobody else knows what the fuck he's talking about. But he said something about the 1700s and Indians, so everybody take a drink.
Take a drink.
And-
you know what I think it is? I think I figured it out. He doesn't say Quashni, which means like man of the wilderness in Shawnee. It's where you would have put that.
Bigfoot.
It just says Bigfoot. That's what's funny to me. We got there. Thank you for your help.
The entire creature is big. It's not just its feet. Bigfoot never made sense as a name in any language. So the idea that, but this is Jeff again, coming up with this on the fly, trying to compete with Trapper's improv, who, for those who don't realize it, there's this larger meta narrative, this battle going on where Trapper has taken on more and more of the research improv. And it's going to become even more ridiculous as episodes go on. But I give him credit because he says, well, the Shawnee Indians lost 7 people in a little group they sent out with the Europeans that the wild man killed. This is what they always need. Bodies. Now, I realize there are sorts of reasons why you don't just invent some dead Shawnee Indians as if they're just props for your funny legend, but you need something. So again, we start off, this woman is terrified. This Bigfoot was at her door 2 days ago. Maybe it's still there. Who can say? And then he knows to throw in, it's killed people. Yes, it was 300 years ago. Yes, we of course don't have any kind of verifiable records on that. But this is what every single briefing needs, which is corpses. So give credit. We won't be giving Jeff any more credit for the rest of this episode. Give him credit for this.
It
That's
does.
Trapper. Trapper gives Jeff some credit.
Yeah.
As soon as Jeff's finished talking, he says, Jeff, you're so damn cool on digging up those Indian records. It's the meanest thing he's ever said.
It is pretty mean. Because I do feel like he should push Jeff, because I feel like if you empty the ham from Jeff's pockets, he is so pointless.
I am very curious to see if you don't see Jeff cool it with the Indian stuff in future episodes. Because he says that, and then Jeff like defensively says, well, yeah, you know, the more research I do in the Native Americans, I keep finding more and more Bigfoot evidence. As if to say, hey, every single week, buddy, it's going to be Indians every time.
to which Jeff says that, and Trapper immediately just goes, oh, yeah. He's just fucking dogging on Jeff. I actually took a screen cap of that, and I think he is making the jerk-off motion. It's only for a second.
It's incredible. That screenshot's amazing. Because Jeff looks a little pissed, and Trapper's just, he looks like mid Mean Girls eye roll.
He was mid Mean Girls eye roll. Like, that
So
was
funny.
real out in the open. And then immediately after saying, like, oh, yeah, you're so cool, he blows up everything Jeff's just said with his own bullshit, and he goes, actually, the Wildman is a second-generation Midnight Whistler, the closest Bigfoot clan to another clan we ran into, back when they defiled Bigfoot's grave.
This is so amazing, because I wish if I taught an improv class, which why would I ever have that job, I would show them a montage of Mountain Monsters moments, because there is no reason, even if they don't have a meeting in advance, a production meeting, even if they don't talk in the truck before they start shooting, in the truck going down the road, you can say, now, Jeff, do you have an Indian thing? Like, because I've got like this origin, I've got like this where he's like an offshoot breed of these other Bigfeet. Do you have some other thing? Just in 1 minute, plan out. Are we going with your thing or my thing? And instead, he lets Jeff unspool his lore, his Indian lore he made up just then, and actually says, well, actually, and then he unspools this amazing backstory that the Wildman got kicked out of the Bigfoot clan.
He's a rebel. He's a rebel Bigfoot. He's the James Dean of Bigfeet.
And that they took a vote, the Bigfoot clan took a vote, because he's got this whole clan lore that exists only in his own mind. No one else on the team has access to the Bigfoot clan lore. Of the 12 clans, however many there are, what did he say last time?
He goes on to specify. He's not even done. He says he got kicked out of the clan, and he got kicked out of his original clan because he was going out in the daytime, which they didn't like.
Right.
They didn't like how brazen he was. He was not like the rest of them. What in the fuck are you talking about, Trapper? Are you
How
on
could
Bigfoot
he have
Facebook?
this information?
How do you have Bigfoot gossip?
How
You
would
can't
he know this? What footprints could he have looked at that would have told him any of this? It's amazing. Trapper is one of the greatest performers of his generation, or any.
It also, I love how there's not even room for Jeff's to also be true, because his has to be like, no, this happened, he got kicked out, so your thing is, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
Everything you just said, no to that. But you're so cool. You're so super cool. Remember that.
It
Just
really
savage.
It really would be believable for Trapper to walk up to some rocks and say, look at the scratch on this rock. This is where he got kicked out of the clan. And look at these footprints. Look at how sad he is about this.
I can tell by the dragging feet he was doing the Charlie Brown walk the whole time. So Jeff can't get a hold of Donna, the lady who has been eaten by Jared Leto Bigfoot already. It's a real somber mood. Or wait, it's the opposite of that. Trapper says, we left so damn early, Buck didn't bring any extra skivvies. And Buck says, I don't wear skivvies. And they all cackle, just drowning out the distant screams of Donna.
And also, we know that's not true, because how can we trust anything else Buck says when he has blown out his pants in at least one episode, and his dong wasn't flopping around. He was.
Yeah, we have seen Buck's custom made skivvies. We have seen those. He did also establish in that same episode that he shits himself every single time he falls down. That's canon. He said that.
He should probably just have extra underwear in his pockets on a normal day.
Maybe that's why he stopped wearing skivvies.
That
It's
could
just
be.
easier. If he knows the pants are going to blow out, He's just not going to create any barrier between it and the outside world anymore.
They did a long underwear bit here because Huckleberry's wife asked him if he was bringing any extra underwear on the trip. And Huckleberry told his own wife, I'm already wearing all my underpants. Like, he only owns the one. And this, again, gets 20 minutes of laughter from everybody.
Yeah, they're high.
I think
Jesus
they're high.
Right, they're just high. Willie smoked him out. Willie pressured him into it, and none of them can handle their shit. So they get to Donna's at night. There's a pond, as was promised. I don't know why that's a reveal. Huckleberry even weirdly points it out. He's like, look, there's a pond. I assume, since we're all watching this live as we discuss it, that we'll find out why it's so important that there's a pond later. Of course, because they're making such a huge deal of it. There is nobody here, and Trapper looks inside her window. Already, like, if Donna was home, this is a most terrifying moment of her life. And then Trapper turns to Huckleberry and he says, get a weapon. Huckleberry walks to the truck, locks and loads, and comes back, and Trapper says, everything looks normal in there.
Also, there's a moment when they all go up to the door, and I just briefly imagine the Wildman opening the door and knocking out Buck again.
Ooh, gotcha twice. just facing him. Why did he need a weapon? They find a note that says, don't go beyond the pond, and Buck says, you know what I think we ought to do? And they all go beyond the pond, hell yeah. And then Trapper makes it weird and says, let's go knock this sumbitch out.
Okay, so the story is that this woman has been abducted by Wildman, but stopped and left a note, like written in old-timey speak. Because you don't say don't go beyond the pond. I would think the more conversational way to say this would be don't go past the pond, or better yet, Bigfoot is on the other side of the pond. Sometimes he crosses the pond. Don't even know why I'm mentioning the pond, to be honest. Anyway, I've been abducted by Bigfoot XOXO.
Well, yeah, because they're going to... right. It's possible none of this made sense, although it would be much funnier if it turned out that the Wildman left that note.
Yes.
Oh, it's all a setup. Oh,
but
shit.
Again,
we gotta watch the rest of this episode and see if that checks out.
This format is so much better because this effectively is the first night investigation, which they're doing not because it's like, well, we talked to somebody, time to do the night investigation. No, it's urgency. Emergency meeting, get in the truck. It's night by the time we get there, even though this person lives probably 20 minutes away. We get to her house. She's not there. Let's go looking for her. Boom. It's momentum. It's urgency. The woman's missing. Let's go find her. Like this is the best narratively structured episode they've ever done. Now, are they going to immediately abandon this really cool structure in the next episode? Yes, they will. I'm going to spoil that right now. But this is so much better.
It definitely is. They've definitely taken the producer notes. They've definitely taken the producer notes we have given them that drift down on rainbow snowflakes through time. They have gotten urgency. But as we have established, they can only bring up to 2 notes per episode. So they did not bring whether or not like this is one immortal creature, whether or not this is several.
Oh, yeah,
they didn't bring a lot of other notes to get this one big... They got the stakes buff, and it's counting down.
But she also left a note to not come rescue her. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's right. No, she didn't even say don't rescue me. She just said don't go beyond the pond. Like, it could also be like, that's where my weed field is, or it really stinks out there.
Yeah, that's true. It could be like to her mailman. I don't know. Like, stop going beyond the pond, asshole.
The note could literally have said, I'm staying at my sister's house. It's down the street. Come talk to me there.
Well, right. If only Donna was staying at her sister's house. What an anticlimactic end to this mystery that would be. Surely. Surely. We'll find out as we continue to watch this episode live as we discuss it. And in the meantime, Trapper is going to go knock out Bigfoot with his haymakers that he's notorious for. So they gear up, and they instantly hear a snap, immediately in the woods. And Buck says, I've got nothing here, but the only thing scarier than finding a Bigfoot track is not finding a Bigfoot track.
Those are the
when
two
you know
things.
they're here.
well, yeah, of course, when you know they're here. I do love they find a possible Bigfoot trail, but no Bigfoot footprints, and they decide it means everything, but also means nothing.
It's so scary when I don't find evidence of a Bigfoot. All my life I am scared. I'm terrified. every moment.
Honestly, this is the first time this might have happened where it's kind of a dud, where they're like, oh, I guess there's no Bigfoot here. Like, we didn't find him. This is the first time it might have ever happened.
Hold on, let me call it one more moment, because there's another note. I may be the only person in the world that cares about this, but in the Midnight Whistler episode, I complained that they don't try to hide the illusion that, oh, we got out of the truck, boom, here's Bigfoot, by shooting some stuff that kind of makes it imply that time has passed. Here, they do a little interview with Buck, and he says, we've been out here for hours. That's all you need.
Well, no, because they messed that up in the same scene. Buck says, we've been out here for hours. I guess it might have been a wasted night. And then they turn around and somebody says, oh, there's the truck.
Yeah, so like they didn't find the Bigfoot, but it's also like they do. Like even when the show's like, oh darn, we didn't find a Bigfoot, they do several minutes later, I guess. So
yeah, they're walking back and they hear something splash in the pond, and Jeff has a human shape on the silhouette, and they decide to split up and do something really weird here. It's like a one side, two side movement.
No, I don't know. You're not making any sense.
Like a Kentucky Wildman thrust? We call it that? So they pincer him, because they always do. And Trapper, as they're doing this, reiterates
like the curtain bangs of the mighty Bigfoot.
As they're doing this, Trapper reiterates his grand unified Bigfoot theory, which, if you missed it, he is convinced that all the Bigfeet are connected somehow, but also all of the other monsters they've met are maybe under the control of Bigfoot, like he's the general of the monsters. It's the craziest thing he's ever said. I can't believe he's sticking with it, and that's the one thing they've decided to stick with. Just wonderful. And then you hear a scream, a real nasty Trapper scream. So everybody runs over and they find him just totally hilariously waterlogged. He's in the pond, splashing around like a shaggy dog, soaking up so much water, and Trapper says... He fucking says Bigfoot threw him in the pond.
They have footage of him going in the water, and he jumps in the water like Macho Man dropping an elbow. Like, he jumps with his own legs into the water sideways, and there's no Bigfoot in the frame.
Well, see, that's the thing. The camera tracks him into the water. If the camera had just stayed stationary, it would have caught the Bigfoot, because the Bigfoot obviously threw him into the water, right? So if instead of following him into the water, if you just stayed with the shot you had, there's the freaking Wildman in the middle of your frame in 4K. But also, I want to congratulate both of you guys, because I don't feel like we give ourselves enough credit. Prior to this moment, when they have this false sense of calm, we're like, well, we had nothing. We wasted our time. We're going to go back home, and Trapper makes some noise about they're going to go find a hotel. And, you know, somebody, I think Huckleberry says, well, you know, sometimes the lead doesn't come to anything. And then Trapper says, yeah, Jeff and I hit a lot of dry ends that you guys never know about. And I think it's great that neither of you thought, because sometimes we have little jokes where they'll accidentally do sexual innuendo that implies that they're all porking down with each other when they're doing these woods adventures. But I'm glad that we've grown out of that.
I'm glad that you're so detail-oriented that Bigfoot just pushed Trapper into the pool like a rowdy brother, like a rowdy big brother. And you're like, no, we've got to talk about this weird phrasing back here. It's just so outshined by the moment that happens right afterwards, where he comes out of a pond and goes, Bigfoot pushed me!
Just prank shoved into the pond.
He actually explains what happened was Bigfoot reached way down, like I guess he saw all of this coming, and fucking backhanded him 30 feet out into the pond. Just a Bigfoot bitch slap that hurled him into the pond. I would give anything to give them an effects budget for just that one scene, to watch emo Bigfoot bitch slap Trapper 30 feet into a duck pond. God, it would have been amazing.
I'm always taken... what messes me up more than anything on the show is that they are currently in a Bigfoot fight. At least a prank war with a Bigfoot. And they are just relaxed as hell. They're like having so much fun. They're laughing and giggling. There's an invisible shack literally right next to them.
This should be the beginning of the hunt. He's right there. Guys, he just flung Trapper into the pond. He's among you. He is literally closer to you than your team members are. Like, this should be the beginning of, like, Trapper should be in the water saying, there, go. He's loping off toward the house or whatever. Do a pincer, trap him. Like, forget about all this crap you're going to do later with building a box and all that. He's right there. You're not going to get closer than this. It's impossible. He tackled Trapper into the pond. And instead they all just stand around like, well, what happened? Get it. He's like, get me out of the pond, guys. And they're just kind of casually hanging around like, well, that was weird.
Actually, what they decide to do next is go home.
Yeah, they literally immediately they go home like, well, I'm going to go or to the hotel, I think, because they're so far away from home. They're in all
and
the way
that's
in
that's the
Kentucky.
end of the scene. Nothing else notable happens.
I didn't take any notes. I didn't write down any
No
lines that
notes
anyone said.
on what happened next. It's Chicken. Who's going to do it?
I'm just so proud that we don't need to do it. The fact that the Trapper says, Buck, how about I go to the hotel room and get naked? That doesn't need to be in the show.
Yeah.
And then he turns to Huckleberry and says, that's a good idea. Ain't it, Huck? And Huckleberry says, it is.
They're making this show for us.
Yeah, they have to be.
They gotta know.
Like, they're in a Bigfoot fight, and they're like, you know what, guys, let's go to the hotel and fuck. What a night that is.
Oh, shit, when you phrase it like that, I actually am jealous. That's more of a life than I am leading. Getting in a pretend war with Bigfoot and going to fuck three of your best friends in a hotel. Just... there is an appeal to that.
They got it all figured out.
That's the real end of that scene. We cut to Wild Bill and Willie's Crackhead Trap Shack, where they are building the trap to contain Jared Leto, circa 2005. Trapper comes by to relay the information personally, and is information that he needs to relay in person that can only be done face to face. This guy's real strong.
Yeah, he's a real dick.
Real
Shove you right in the pond.
He pushed me. He bitch slapped me. You got to make that box extra big, extra strong box. So Willie is gonna make. That's right. It's a big strong box. It's a big strong box, everybody.
Significantly less strong than many other boxes they've made prior to now. It is not in the top 10 strongest traps he's built.
No, but they're gonna do. They do say they're going to use cattle panel instead of chicken wire. So you knew the chicken wire was a bad idea this whole time,
and good for them.
And you had a better resource. Could you just not steal any cattle panel until now?
I don't want to imply that the season's already running out of budget, but in episode 1, they had a scale model of the trap. In episode 2, they went and mowed out a schematic of the trap in an open field to get a visualization of it from overhead. We're here in episode 3. It's now a drawing on paper again, but it is like a printout from a computer. Like he drew this up in AutoCAD or something. So it's like a rendering. So it's a little bit fancier than before when he was literally drawing it on like a Hardee's napkin that he got out of his glove box. But I do feel like they kind of came crashing out of the gate with that first episode and may have blown all of their budget.
Yeah, on that lawn mowing scene. I just like that he found the cattle panel tool in AutoCAD. Like, oh. And then he inserted, what about those, they even have those planks I like to use.
Yes, they're getting a lot of use out of those rough cut planks.
So they need to test the cattle panel, which they will do by having a truck tug of war between Wild Bill and Trapper. And Trapper says, now, Bill, this is not a truck contest. I know how you are. You're like this damn Bigfoot. You like to win. The
Amazing.
fuck do you know that about the Bigfoot?
What a strange thing to say. I had that in my notes.
See, now it sounds like you're old friends with the Bigfoot. Which, that is kind of a friend thing to do, is just push you in the pond.
Yeah. I like this because it does sort of establish, like, if you don't know anything about cattle panels, it's like, we're showing you how powerful this material is. Like, this is Bigfoot-proof cattle panel. And I'm like, sure, cool. I in the text of this art, they're showing us the rules, and I accept them.
Yeah, that would be great if that was the end of it. If that had worked, that would have been wonderful. Trapper starts to brag about how if it was a truck contest, he would win, to which Wild Bill says, man, I have blood, Rooster tails 40, 11 feet in their mob. Ah! There's subtitles. That's what he said.
Yeah, Trapper and Willie are like, no, that's nothing. I can't respond to that.
Yeah, they just smile at him because they're like, that was not words. There were subtitles for that, and they were still not words. So they hook the trucks up, and Wild Bill goes on, and he says, "Alright, let's come on, man, Trapper, ease up out of way, ease up just this way, foreshore, gum get something, oh, swamp bang." Again, those were subtitles. I wrote down the subtitles.
Sounds right. Sounds accurate. That's what I had in my notes. Wild Bill is just on it this episode, and by it I, of course, mean crystal meth. So they gear up, they rev their engines, and the straps instantly break. I mean, instantly. The second the trucks move, the straps break. It is in no way a test of the cattle panel. But they don't have to acknowledge that. Or they didn't put the toe straps on very well. That could be it.
Or
well.
Wild Bill, his hands were shaking too hard. He could not get the toe straps on there. They fall straight off. It's the saddest thing you've ever seen, and they put it in here because they have to, because they need every minute. Willie just instantly goes in and calls it a victory. He says the cattle panels are just too strong. Wild Bill gets real red, real embarrassed that he lost the truck pull. Really, we all lost the truck pull.
He's like that Bigfoot. He likes to win.
Wild Bill says he gets too excited when it's time to leave, and he knows that he has just been embarrassed, so he has to prove himself manly by doing something crazy that works this time. And he says, "Gonna do Dukes of Hazzard style, oh yeah!" And he tries to jump through the window, like Dukes of Hazzard style, only he realizes, I'm gonna say about 15 seconds into the process, that he is in a raised pickup truck, and it doesn't go as well when the window is a raised pickup truck, because he has to, like, lever his legs up above his head, and then crawl and force it.
He gets it.
Finally,
he gets there.
He gets it with a lot of struggling difficulty, and he falls into his seat with a noise like, whoa! And then he floors it out of there, and he's so embarrassed. He's bright red the whole time.
One of the lowest moments of his life, for sure. I mean, if somebody in that region that you lose a truck pull to someone else in front of an audience, you have to leave town. You're banished.
Yeah, you gotta
from
kill
the community.
that guy.
Like, you can't show your face there.
That's far more of a humiliation than getting shoved into a pond by Bigfoot. Even a Jared Leto Bigfoot.
And then if he watches you struggle for 30 seconds to pull off a Dukes of Hazzard into a raised pickup truck, you just get in that pickup truck and you keep driving. You follow the sun, man. It's time for our first witness. It is a farmer named John. He has a very understated, tasteful camo baseball cap for headgear. And Huckleberry says, "John here, he's got over 250 acres. He's got hay fields, timber, and some nut trees. Why are we plugging John's farm?"
I don't know. You could rent it for events.
Also, John has a noticeable stain on the front of his shirt, and I'm fascinated to know if that was an intentional costume
They gave him
choice
that shirt
for the witness, that to make him look like a hardworking rustic man.
He doesn't bring his own wardrobe. They gave that to him out of a box. Trapper explains to John that Donna is missing, his neighbor, and there's a note. Of course, John knows Donna, and he explains, "Oh, don't go beyond the pond? Well, my friends, beyond the pond, it's right here." Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I love this so much because Don't Go Beyond the Pond is like kind of a name for a horror movie, like an indie horror movie called Don't Go Beyond the Pond. It's like, ooh, that's kind of spooky. But like, if somebody lives on the other side of the pond and they're just some random guy who's not a murderer, then yeah, that doesn't mean as much, I guess.
If you go over, and specifically, that's what gets me, is they set up this whole thing of don't go beyond the pond. They knew that was sinister. They phrased it in a sinister way. And they're like, we're gonna go beyond the pond anyway. And then they're like, okay, next scene, we're gonna go do the witness. Where is he? He's just hanging around beyond the pond. He lives there his whole life. He has had no trouble with any Wildman, really. He has had an encounter that barely counts, that we'll get into. But he's like, no, yeah, beyond the pond, fucking great, treating me just fine. Why include that? Why deliberately sabotage the entire first half of your episode and then pause?
That's the limits of his restraining order.
Can't go beyond the pond. So John has had an encounter. He went down in the woods and he did himself some woods knocking, which is he hit a tree with a stick and something banged back. And his wife got audio of both the knocks and the following roar. Trapper, right now, has a big dark purple Bigfoot handprint across his entire torso. What are we doing? He slapped you into a pond last scene. And now we're pretending to be impressed by the sounds of a stick hitting a tree. They're listening to a stick hit a tree and going, ooh, oh,
gee whiz.
That's a knock.
That sounds like a Bigfoot.
He knocked your ass into the pond is what he did. Trapper says, well, we've heard him roar. We've heard a stick hit a tree. That's all I need to know. This is the perfect place to lay my trap. Lay our Bigfoot trap. Why? I don't know why. And also, hey, maybe ask John, do you know if Donna's alive? Do you know that?
I had that in my notes as well, that they seem really uninterested in, like, this missing woman who called them urgently.
Because he does.
Yeah.
He does know that Donna's alive.
Yeah. This is part of the point I was making earlier. They get off to such a great start in establishing the urgency, but they're so eager to get back to the format of the show. Because, like, well, we got to have the part where we just meet a witness who's standing in the middle of a field next to some water. And we've got to have that. And it's like, well, yeah, but you went into a hotel. You all explored each other's bodies. You took your time. Like, you got in the bath and you took a bubble bath. It's like... Okay, it's true that Donna left a note, but we don't know that she survived beyond writing that note. All we know is that she was terrified, and you can't find her. And she did leave a note. Almost feels like it would have been worth staying out all night until you confirmed that she was okay.
But no, you got wet. You had to go home.
But no, you got wet, had to go home. And then they do the ad break. They play the roar, which, by the way, they are using just a generic lion roar from their sound effects CD, which, again, in previous couple episodes, they had gotten some custom
can only take
sounds
2 notes.
And that the audio team, when they come back from the ad break, Huckleberry, based on hearing that roar, says, hell, he could tear off my arm and beat the rest of these guys to death with it.
And nobody disagrees. Yeah.
Because Huckleberry has decided it is his job to come up with lines for the sizzle reel. And 20% of what he says is him trying to think up some line that will go in the trailer, in the promo.
I think it's because he has the best hillbilly delivery. He's always yelling into the camera.
He does have an intensity. Like, remember when they caught the chupacabras and he was like so like violently smug into the camera, like, they say we don't catch shit, fuck you, that's a chupacabra. Violently smug into the camera, like, okay, Huckleberry.
He's the hype man. Yeah.
They're trying to sell it on how he's the most dangerous Bigfoot in Appalachia, but like, he shoved one man into a pond. And we have I guess a failed kidnapping because we just heard Donna's okay.
Like, Trapper is just fine. He's not limping. Yeah. He's not holding his ribs. Like, I have faked sick to a waiter job better than this. He's not putting any up. He's like totally fine. Strongest Bigfoot we've ever encountered. Yeah. Bitch slapped me 30 feet into the pond. I didn't even feel it.
Yeah, because eventually this resolves with the witness saying that he's going to have Donna give Jeff a call to confirm that she's not been eaten by the wild man.
Because you were right. It's amazing you guessed that so early in the episode. Donna did just go to her sisters, and this was all fucking pointless. She could have said in the phone call, so I need your help. I'm going to go to my sisters for a while. She could have wrote it down on the note. Don't go beyond the pond. That's where my sister lives. I'll be over there. And I don't want to see you.
We don't want to see you. Go to the hotel. Fuck. We'll talk tomorrow. The phones really messes up the storytelling too. Because, like, if everyone has phones and they could just talk to each other, like, so much of what they do doesn't work. Like, everyone would have a video of the Bigfoot.
We'll get into that soon. We get into them trying to, like, work phones into the storylines and why you can't. Why they're bad. Why you can't use them. For now, we go to Wild Bill and Willie's Crackhead Trap Shack. We open on Wild Bill tripping and falling over a log for no reason. Just to continue the lowest episode he's ever had. And we smash cut right out of that to him saying, "This scum-sucking wild man been spotted back in these woods." Just really trying to sell it. Really trying to get any of that dignity back as they build an extremely janky box out of just, I think old branches.
I've been on a lot of shitty farms. I don't think I've ever seen a chicken coop this bad. This is just a terrible box thing.
They literally use branches, just old, like, misshapen branches. They use really ancient 2x4s, and then they just kind of nail everything together, like the cattle panel. They nail it up, which that's the least secure way to do that. that chicken's getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the supposedly super strong cattle panel, it's just attached to these old rotted boards with just little loops of wire, or they've just bit nails over it. Like it's nothing. It's a disappointing trap.
One of the most disappointing traps. And remember, one time Willie put a box on a stick.
It's true. One time they dug a pit by a creek.
But that's my favorite trap.
That is a really good trap. We made a puddle, guys.
Then they put a tarp over it and said it's like quicksand. God, we're just reliving. Reliving the glory days. All right, so they finally tracked Donna down. She's exactly where she said she would be, at her sister's, perfectly fine. And Trapper walks up and says, "Girl, you're hard to find." No, she's fucking not. She's like 2 houses down.
Also, it's I worry the listeners think that they have gone into the sister's house to talk to her. Oh, no. She's literally out in the yard by a campfire she built in the sister's yard so that the Mountain Monsters team would not be allowed in the house.
Because if there was a sister, she's like, "I love you, sis. This is not going to be your big Hollywood break. I am not letting those men into my house. Just look at them. They're filthy."
Also, while on the subject, please do not meet the very, very strange men in the woods alone. That's more dangerous than a shack prankster.
So Donna explains it's all because she gets really bad cell service out here. That's why she couldn't have put it in the note. God, that's it. That's the missing persons case. We were so close to maintaining stakes throughout the episode, but no, we slaughtered them. We brought our sense of urgency out. We had everybody look at it, and then we just cut it from crotch to forehead and just butchered it. Absolutely butchered our urgency. But Donna tries to re-up it. She knows it's her job, so she says, "Actually, there's 3 or 4 wild men. Wildmans? There's wildmans out there. And there's also something completely different, which is a wild man who is a little older than the others."
They really, really struggle with, because there are now several episodes into this, with the concept of having a gang of big feet and trying to reconcile that with their one strategy of let's chase a singular beast into our box. Because obviously if there are 4 wild men, that stupid box made out of cattle wire is now useless. So they'd have to try to put in every time some kind of lore. It's like, well, there was like one main wild man, and he's the one I have a problem with. The rest of them kind of hung back in the trees. They were like henchmen. So it kind of implying that, well, if we catch this boss wild man, that will somehow solve the problem.
It really makes me laugh picturing that shitty box they built just containing 4 wild men, like just crowded the fuck in there, just like, oh my god, that worked so well. Just like pig farming. So Donna says this wild man is silver and gray because it's older and it loved daylight, and she has a video of it, and she starts to show it.
Funniest video.
She starts to show the blurry shape, which is about a mile away, and as soon as Huckleberry sees that, he says the funniest possible thing you could say. He says, "Look how close he is."
Also, she pulls out her phone, and they instantly all gather around while she goes and finds her photo of the wild man, which means they're looking at her, swiping through all of her personal photos before she gets to the one she intends to show her. So I would love if it was just 20 minutes of her sifting through all of her nudes on there.
All the Bigfoot dick pics that get sent to her unsolicited. This is the real problem with Wildman.
But also, I'm not trying to say that this is like an allegory for something that happens in real life, but it is very interesting that in her phone call, it was, "Oh, he was attacking my house. He was at my back door. I'm terrified. I've had to leave." And then in her photo of the event, he's way out on the border of her property, passing by, minding his own business. It kind of seems like when she called the cops, they were right to say, even if what you're saying is true, what business is that? Like, it's just a Sasquatch passing by your property. Like, what do you want us to, what crime is it on your land? Like, he's allowed to cross your property. That's in the law here. You're allowed to, So it's interesting, the difference between the story she told and then the photo kind of tells a different story. And again, we get back into the same thing. It's like, why? There has to be a reason. Let me ask you guys this. Do you think there's a legal reason they can't say the Bigfoot bashed in my door and ate my dog? Because we had a witness last year say that it killed like 40 of his sheep. Wasn't it like they left a pile of sheep? Like they can't attribute a crime to Bigfoot, because why not? Why did they just not have her say he bashed in my door? Even if you can't show the door, why not have that be the story?
Libel.
Bigfoot libel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bigfoot could theoretically sue. But yeah, is there maybe a legal reason that you can't just invent a crime? Hopefully that's a rule, now that you mention it.
I think what happened was she saw 3 young black Bigfoot males on her property doing nothing in particular, panicked and called the police. I think we have precedent for that in society.
I do want to make it clear to the listeners that if you're not watching the show, her video is of a stiff gray Chewbacca shape from a photo with very different lighting, being pulled along like it's on a skateboard, hundreds of yards away.
It's a shack cutout. It's a shack cutout on a remote control car. We've established.
She's getting home alone, like many before her.
Trapper decides that's all he needs to see. This is the alpha wild male, and it must have been the smaller one that bitch slapped him 30 feet into a duck pond. A juvenile, and this is where he starts to come to life. He says a juvenile, and maybe the others, maybe the juveniles all stay back in the shadows and only come out at night out of respect for the alpha who demands all the daylight for himself.
He got all this from a shack cutout on a skateboard.
And then also keeps skewing the story to making he and his team seem worse. Because like, I was a Bigfoot baby that hurled me into the pond effortlessly. That sneaked up on me and outwitted our entire team. It came in completely undetected by our thermal and all of our tools and just smacked me into a pond. We all had shotguns. None of us got a shot off. And it was a little baby that did that. A Bigfoot baby dunked on us all.
Why they're doing that is, there must be, again, we were watching this live, we don't know how it turns out. It must be that they built up that trap as being so strong. It's got to be so strong, right? It's handle panel, it's unbreakable. It'll break the toe straps before it breaks. My God. They're explaining why this crazy alpha male is going to break out of that trap. So he's going to destroy that super strong trap, and they can all look at it and marvel like, oh my God, how strong he must be. We were in so much danger. Surely that's why they're doing it.
I can't wait to see it, because they did some really great prop work with the party van, with the sex crime van that had like tore out the roof of it. So I can just imagine this thing's just made out of sticks and cattle panels. Like they could have it just completely rip this thing apart.
I feel like this thing is so ramshackle that like you couldn't put a hole in it without the entire thing collapsing. So it'll either be just a pile of debris or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be spectacular one way or another. We built up, like, we started this off by saying, this is the strongest Bigfoot. First thing we said in the episode, we're meeting the strongest Bigfoot. We got to prove that. Now we're meeting the alpha male, and the weak one slapped Trapper into a pond. It's got to do something. So speaking of, it's time to arrive and inspect the shack, the trap shack. It is a box. It is a box, but they do such a good job selling it. The team arrives and everybody just goes, oh, shit, whoa. Trapper says, it's exactly what this team needs. We had Bigfoot break out on us all over the place. Hey, Trapper, Willie designed those other traps too. But not this time. Not this time. This one's good for a change. Just accidentally thrown Willie shade. Trapper asks Wild Bill to trip the trigger, and Huckleberry says, I don't think this is Wild Bill's first time tripping.
Now, is that the first direct reference to Wild Bill being on drugs? Because they've had many, many, many references to, wow, he's awfully hyper today or whatever.
But they know, and they're not like playing around it anymore. They're like, yeah, you're high as shit, buddy. We know.
I genuinely had a question mark here. I thought, does this mean he is always falling down, or does Huckleberry know about this man's drug abuse?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
To both.
I guess.
Also, notice they're quietly turning Huckleberry into the Chandler Bing of the group. We're just
Yep.
constantly roasting people. His constantly has a joke ready.
This is why nobody likes you, Huckleberry. I just want to note that as Wild Bill goes in to trigger the trap, he very specifically does not. It shows him. Normally, he doesn't build pressure-sensitive triggers for all these traps like he says he does. They just have somebody triggering it off screen. But this time, we fucking show it. We show Wild Bill holding the rope up that is holding the door up, and then he lets it go, and it drops. But they pretend that he's triggered it. It's just...
This is
They're not even
the
trying.
shot they normally don't show you. Because what they do
cut
is
it.
you hit a lever, and then off screen, somebody's just holding a rope, they let go, and it makes it look like the lever closed the trap. It's the easiest. Here, they accidentally showed... the guy just manually letting go of the rope.
Yeah, he just lets go of the rope. So you were holding up the rope, so this is all bullshit.
They're all cheering because, again, all that happened was he let go of the door that was held up by the rope, and gravity caused it to fall because he let go of the rope. What are you cheering for? In the way you've cut it together, what else could have happened there unless the laws of physics suddenly malfunctioned?
I love that they're finding new ways to be incompetent, because that's one of the only ways. We didn't appreciate it, but it's one of the only ways they have been competent so far, is not showing the actual triggering process so that we can believe Willie is out there rigging up Bigfoot mines. And then several episodes into season 2, they're like, oh, wow, shit, we fucked up. We included it. They're just finding new ways to fuck up that they used to have. It's incredible.
Buck is not here for this trap inspection. So when he joins the night hunt, they're going to have another trap inspection just for Buck. Again, not normal storytelling format, but
Can't miss that. So they bait the trap with deer and fish, and that's because Trapper says, I haven't seen any deer or fish around here, so he must be eating them. It's like the diagram of planes that return from war. I don't think you're putting that together right, Trapper.
Yeah.
God damn it.
No evidence. Those are outside. I know Bigfoot lives outside. I really don't know. We're out of buckets of blood. Huckleberry ate all the buckets of blood.
We had some berries. No, we figured nobody would touch the berries. In this crew? Fresh fruit? No.
There's just no consistency. Some of the Bigfoots want to eat like old organs covered in human pee or deer pee.
Some of them just like piles of walnuts. Remember the piles of walnuts?
Or some
That was
corn
real
mash.
cute.
Some nice old wet corn.
Some corn, or some Bigfeet just want to get fucked up. Just want to get fucked up after a long day Bigfooting. So it's time for the night hunt. Trapper, just to spell it out, Trapper says, now, these young Bigfoot in this area are black, but it's the silver one we're going after. So it's okay. Don't worry, everybody. It's good.
Thank God.
They're gonna do another fucking kind of movement. Somebody's gonna come from the left. And somebody's...
So here's the idea. You get 2 teams, right?
Uh-huh.
And they kind of...
Double
what they
team.
do,
Kentucky
they kinda
double team.
Yes, like a double team. They kind of pinch together, like a pincher. And if there are any Bigfoots in the middle, they will leave the sides of the pincher to eat a bucket of fish from the chicken coop.
Which they don't eat.
Right. But the good thing about this plan is that they know how to do it. But the good thing about this, also, it hasn't worked yet. But also, when it doesn't work, that's when it works.
I just like that they have the audacity to draw us a diagram of the pincher movement.
How dare they?
Fucking... Yeah, we get it. We get it.
also Trapper says that the wild man is an arrogant son of a bitch.
He knows it so
I guess
well.
because he walked by that lady's yard one time on his way somewhere else.
And the pond prank.
That was one of the babies, though.
Oh, you're right.
And now, by the way, listeners out there, if this is your very, very first episode of Bigfeets and your first episode of Mountain Monsters, you are screaming at your podcast player saying, well, now hold on. They need to get rid of the wild men, not just the silverback, but all of them to save Donna's life. So she's literally been chased out of her home. Once they get it in this cage, even if the cage holds it, then what? Does the cage load onto the back of a flatbed truck and then they haul it to a sanctuary? Like, you've not told us, guys, you guys are bad podcast hosts because you've not explained what are they going to do with the wild man once they have it in the cage. Because obviously they're not just going to stand around the cage and riddle it with bullets. That would not be heroic or even legal. So who's waiting? Do they have a scientist somewhere waiting? We have not even added this to the Bigfoot, the Mountain Monsters drinking game, because it's every episode. So this is just the way it is. This will be my last time mentioning this, because at this point there's no point.
I think you're being unfair. I think we've established this very early in the show, and then we just never needed to mention it again because we did establish the canon. They call animal control every single time. Doesn't matter what it is. I know it was just for dogs or whatever. It was for demon dogs or whatever. But every single, for chupacabras, for the world's strongest Bigfoot, for Jared Leto foot. I got a real beautiful one for you. You guys are going to love this. Put him in the back with all 17 other Bigfeet we have sent to you. I know you're a no-kill shelter, so they're going to find good homes.
Know that you guys have a truck that can haul a 10-foot tall, 1,000-pound Kentucky Wildman. Obviously, you have a vehicle that can safely transport such a creature that is awake. Like, we've not tranquilized it. We don't have that technology.
I so badly want a spin-off show of the animal control people dealing with this.
We've said that before, by the way. I'm pretty sure that would be a better show.
I'm reiterating, I need that. Somebody needs to do that. If we run out of seasons of this, show me the beleaguered animal control officer that sees that number light up on his special phone and is just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
These guys are too good at their jobs.
Here's what's great about that show is you got the monster of the week, right? Of like the monster that the team captures. Show is you got the monster of the week with that team. Like, what does this group of maniacs look like? Like, what's wrong with these men that captured the hellhound in the woods? It's a double monster of the week show.
Why are you doing this? Look, I know it's a hellhound, but you don't need to capture it. It has hurt nobody. It has done nothing. It just lives out here. This is its home. What am I going to do with it?
Well, this thing attacked some Shawnee Indians 300 years ago. No, it didn't. You show me how you know that. Show me your source on that.
It's an arrogant son of a bitch. Why? Did it say something?
We saw you do the Macho Man elbow drop into the pond. It's on fucking film.
Clearly just an excuse to get nude. Literally, oh no, I've got to get
You guys
completely...
can just fuck. This is the most elaborate way to stay in the closet I have ever seen. Nobody's even watching. So we've split into teams. Buck, Willie, and Wild Bill are at the pond. Wild Bill decides to tree knock, and then he tree knocks again, but he has picked a dead branch to do it, and the tree breaks and flies back into Willie's dick, who says, ouch!
Did they stage that? Or is that just TV magic that happened on its own?
I think it looked real natural. That piece flew off. It went right in the direction that they were framing Willie as standing. I don't think they would have the framing right if they were actually staging this.
That's true. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? I think he'd be stage left and the piece would fly stage right.
I also feel like if they staged it, they would have like tested it and made sure they got a noisy stick. Because you hit a dry branch against a tree, it just sounds like nothing. And they're trying to be like they want like a big loud whap. And it's just like...
Yeah, it explodes into a million little pieces. It does not have an impact. And by the way, they immediately abandon the tree knock thing once Willie gets hit in the penis with a stray fragment from his...
I think Willie would have practiced a more manly noise than ouch. I think he would have insisted on a rare second take to do that one over again.
Oh my cock.
It's not personal yet. We should point out, like, they forgot to do that this episode. So even after the pawn show, like, nobody is saying like, oh, we got to get revenge. It is, because I didn't notice it. I thought that we were just going after like a low level employee in a Bigfoot clan, because like no one's saying like, hey,
Willie just got hit in the cock.
Right, but he doesn't say, oh, I got hit in the cock, now it's personal.
Oh, I think it was implied. I got it.
Oh, okay.
He got hit in the cock, and I instantly understood that was Bigfoot's fault.
When they do cut to the other team, there is another in the Mountain Monsters drinking game where somebody complains about routine woods as just hellish terrain.
Rough terrain, yeah.
And they start complaining about the briars. So again, every time they complain about something that you would fully expect to find in the woods, and they are very surprised to run across it, including shallow streams, mild inclines, basically anything like that. It's like, whoa, man, this is rough country. It really does sound like they are all from the city and do not spend much time in the woods. They're surprised by everything they run across in the woods.
They do such an incredible moment of improv with that. Okay, so it's Trapper, Jeff, and Huckleberry on the other team, and they're out in the woods, and they get stuck in the brambles a little bit, and they feel the need like to work that into the prompt, and so they decide maybe the Wildman is so mad because his fur is matted with these briars.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing a lion with the thorn in his paw thing, right? Surely that'll pay off. Because otherwise that's a stupid fucking thing to say if that doesn't pay off somehow.
I like when they're in the middle of the pincer maneuver how they get distracted. Because Buck sees some old barns and he's like, guys, barns! And then they're like, we need to go to those barns, right? Oh yeah, because they know he went to that one door that one time. So he could go into a barn. Let's go into the barns. Like they've forgotten about the pincer maneuver because now they're barn investigators.
Because it's more fun.
All it takes is literally anything to fuck up the entire plan.
They all file into the barn and they decide Wildman just jumped out the window as they came in. Yes. I don't know why that made me laugh for 3 straight minutes, but it did. Yeah. It's really funny.
It is very funny.
He just hopped out that window. Bigfoot, a 8-foot tall, 500-pound Jared Leto Bigfoot was like, oh shit! And he hopped out the window like a cuckolding boyfriend. He's now walking around. They're listening to him walk around upstairs, which is even funnier. I don't
because there's noisy. Just the tiniest little ladder that goes up there. Anytime
so he must have taken it.
They go into a teeny tiny little building. It's like he's upstairs. I immediately because anytime that they're talking about a creature that's supposed to be 1,000 pounds, you would hear the floor up there buckling. It would not be. You would hear it roaring. It would not be like Again, they're talking like they've chased a hamster in there. Not be like
What's funniest to me here is that they're clearing this barn, but it is a completely empty rectangle shape. It's just nothing in this barn. And they're clearing it like it's Fallujah. Like they're also never pointing their guns in a safe direction. Just basically their own guns at their friend's head the entire time while they investigate an empty rectangle.
That's going to get so real funny. Bad in a moment. The muzzle discipline's going to get real ugly here in a second.
Well, so they head upstairs and they're investigating. Willie's climbing the ladder, looking in the loft. And then Buck shrieks like a housewife seeing a mouse. And the cameraman, it's serious because the cameraman actually stops filming Buck to film what he's looking at. And the Wildman is peeping shyly at him through the window.
And they all start pointing their guns at each other. Wild Bill points his gun directly at Buck's back. This is something I can't stop noticing. I will not go on and on about it because I know I have gone on and on about it before. Yeah, they do this repeatedly. Like they all are just pointing their guns at each other over and over again.
I do like how it's their panic response. We're all scared. It's time. I'm going to kill all of you. They literally just start pointing it at each other.
You can't get taken alive by Bigfoot.
That's true. That's true. He's not a tender lover. It's clearly a Bigfoot mask on a stick that they're waving around, but I love that they're doing effects now after the Chupacabra. It really feels like a barrier has been broken here, and I hope they keep it up. And for the very first time in the show, they roll back the footage to get a better look at the Bigfoot face.
They're so proud of that effect that they show it. They show it multiple times. They're
and it's so clearly just a Bigfoot mask on a stick, but it also establishes in the universe of the show, they know about the footage. The footage counts. The footage has never counted before. We've always needed a separate camera to film something to have proof on it. The real footage that we're watching can never count.
Just occurred to them.
It really did. It just occurred to them, and they're like, this is incredible. So our new format is not the pincer movement. What we do is try a pincer movement, and then one of the teams does literally anything, and the other team comes rushing in to help in full panic.
They have to call Trapper for backup because the Wildman has locked them in the building.
I don't think they say he locked them in. They definitely feel trapped in there somehow.
I don't know how the other team's going to help. Like, I feel like this is your best case scenario. You're being sieged by one Bigfoot. You all have guns at the one point of entry. You're going to win this fight. Like, this
I
is
am
how
telling
you kill
you
Bigfoot.
both. I'm not trying to disagree with you guys. I'm not trying to do my own version of a truck pull here with the cattle panel. When the other team's golf cart arrives, from within the shack, they yell, "The door's locked." Implying that the Wildman locked them in. One, that this door locks from the outside. But two, that now doors are the Bigfeet's most powerful weapon because they know how to use them better than the Ames team does.
Even if that was the opposite, if it was the team inside saying, "The door's locked, hold on, I'll get it." It's so funny to me that you think this incredibly powerful ancient monster is outside and you reach over and quietly do the deadbolt.
Because you just imagine it just cranking the knob, pulling on it over and over again. Grr, grr, it's just...
Oh, I can't get in there.
Also, another little note that comes when Trapper arrives to rescue them in his golf cart and opens the door and they all come spilling out with their guns pointed. Wild Bill points his gun right at Trapper's face and Trapper yells, "Don't point that son of a bitch at me."
Another first.
Trapper's muzzle discipline is worse than anybody's on this team. He has no right. It's just that normally they're pointing the guns at each other's backs. Here he saw the gun being pointed at him. And, you know, this is the first time I've seen somebody actually complain about that.
It's definitely the first time anybody's had something to say. They've in previous episodes said something like "watch your fire," which was incredible. The balls on them to say that.
Yeah, or "watch the crossfire" or something like that.
But the first time somebody's unhappy about it, like, you have had shotguns pointed at you, I want to say 20 times this episode.
These guys are cowering inside and they call for backup. And I'm frustrated because the guys outside are going to get torn apart by the Bigfoot. Like, they're going to come in and they have no cover. So it's just going to... The people inside are just going to hear the screams of their friends, right? They're in a Bigfoot fight, right? Like, they just saw his face. He's fucking with them. And they immediately look at the window and they're like, "Oh my God, you saw him through this window? Wow. Huckleberry, go over there and touch that window. Let's measure how tall the Bigfoot must be." It's like, no, you're fighting him. So frustrating.
Imagine being the Bigfoot, like, and you're waiting in the bushes, like Jason Voorhees, like, you're, "Oh, yes, I am the knight. I am the predator when we've begun our game." And then they just start, like, measuring and, like, goofing, doing bits over there by the window. You're like, fucking, what is this? Do you guys not... It would really hurt your feelings.
We could dissect their strategy all day long, so let's do that now. They have something that is an advantage over the Bigfoot, which is they have ranged weapons.
Yeah.
So if they think that the Bigfoot is pounding on the door of this building that the other team has barricaded themselves in, then you don't park 5 feet outside the door. You would park some distance away and then from cover, like, point your shotguns that direction to see if you can find a Bigfoot to shoot. A shotgun is not effective from 100 yards, but it's definitely effective from a little ways away, especially if you have slugs in there. But instead, no, they just pull up right to the door, like, open the things, like, I don't see him out here. It's like, well, yeah, he could literally be on the other side of the building. He could be 10 feet away.
Yeah. They had 3 guns pointed at the one point of entry of a defensive structure, and they were still too scared to do anything. So if one of these guys has to deal with an invisible super shack alone in the woods with no cover, the best they can hope for is die before they pee their pants. That's, like, the best way to go out. These guys are like Texas cops during a school shooting. Anyway.
Too late for that, says Jeff.
Trapper calls for them to clear the perimeter.
I don't know why we keep talking about this like it's a hypothetical scenario, because they all go into the shed to reenact what happened to them, and Wildman slaps the shed, so he is still right there. All of the things we said are actually true in this, and they have fucked up so badly. So he slaps the shed. He has been watching them do all of their bits and measure him via huckleberries and point their guns at each other's faces the whole time. He is watching this
such a funny debriefing too,
and point their guns at each other's.
Like, the Bigfoot was here X minutes ago. Like, Buck, like, I'll show you. He was right here. This is the window where we saw the Bigfoot, right there in this window, right here. Sit, and he just keeps, vamping to, like, set up the slap on the wall. But I just thought that was a very funny debrief.
It was very funny, and it's not as fun. It was outshone by the by the moment that happens after, which is that they all, in one big hillbilly pile, run out of the building and run around it, and we do the full Bugs Bunny loop around the building. They show them do the full loop back to where they started. They go, Hinai?
It's so fucking funny. And
I
they get to
do
side
wish-
by side.
I would do wish at some point somebody had said, man, we can't see him in all this darkness. I wish we had done a day hunt since we said earlier this Bigfoot specifically is active during the day, because if it was sunshine out here, he wouldn't be able to hide from us. He'd be plainly visible.
It's weird that it worked out like that, especially since we've established that he demands all of the daylight as a sign of respect from the other Bigfeet.
That's true. It's the best way to get him alone.
I think how much clearer that image of his face in the window would have been if we'd been out here at noon.
Okay, so they all file into the forest golf cart and they chase him back down to the pond. The pond is important somehow. And Jeff sees him on thermal. So the whole team lines up into a hillbilly phalanx, which is, it's like a normal phalanx movement, except for all of the guns are pointed at each other's backs. so they can
Everybody,
blow themselves.
put your gun in your mouth if we see the Bigfoot.
They can just blow the whole thing in half if they're ever scared.
There's a moment here I love where Buck screams, "Watch those weeds!" And they are 9 inches tall. They're like, he might be hiding among the low grass.
I think he's just like, they might stick you a little bit. We don't want that to happen because we're having fun out here. So there's a canned roar, another canned lion roar, and there's total panic. And that means they all run to the side-by-sides again. They start running. He's running for the trap, which they know, but they forgot to establish any reason for him to do that. He is no longer in a pincer movement. I guess he's sick of, maybe he's burned a lot of calories fucking with them, and he wants that fish. He needs that fish now.
That makes sense.
So they catch a blob on thermal again, right by the trap, and then they get to the trap and... Right, it's going to be destroyed, Big Strong. Nope, it's still standing there, and there is nothing. Nothing here.
Oh.
Now, I do want to give them a little bit of credit here because they did get another note, which is they said, we pushed him too hard. He didn't stop to eat because we were screaming after him in a golf cart, and he panicked and he ran away instead of stopping to eat his little snack. This is something we have been saying for the previous 22 episodes, that it makes no sense to bait a trap and then instead of wait for it to be drawn to the bait, to drive it with your pincer movement toward the trap. So here they're acknowledging, wait a second, our entire methodology makes no sense. Of course he didn't stop to eat. We were screaming after him in a golf cart.
Oh, that's the second note they took. They took stakes and they pushed him too hard.
And they fucked them both up.
So Trapper decides it's time to recap. There's no point going after him any further.
Nah.
He says, let's weigh our physical evidence. Buck seen him in the window.
Yeah.
Not physical evidence. We heard him roar. Jeff had him on the thermal. Tracks. We got tracks.
Of course.
And then he starts spinning it up. He says, they tell me everything I need to know. He was hunkered down, taking those short strides, looking right at Willie's trap. Fucking Trapper is so good, he can tell where a Bigfoot's eye line is just from his footprints. It's amazing. So they go back to evaluate Jeff's thermal footage. Now that we can do that, we've broken that seal. We can do that now. And they roll it back in slow motion and see a person. Or as Buck puts it, if that's Bigfoot, Bigfoot's holding the camera. Which would be very worrisome, I guess.
Obviously, we were all rooting for that to be the case, but they're going a different direction here.
So they all just are aghast. They're totally aghast. I just want to stress, they are all out here in a life or death fight. Trapper has been slapped into a pond by these monstrous creatures that are a mystery to all of human science, and they are stunned that they have seen another person in the woods. This is not only surprising, it is deeply offensive to them. They're like, oh my fucking god. There was a guy out here? Trapper decides that means he has night vision, and that means he was watching them,
That means these barns were not built by raccoons?
Right, because again, in reality, this could be a hunter, it could be a local, it could be somebody who just heard the noise and was curious, it could be a fan of the show Mountain Monsters, wanted to come watch an episode being filmed. Again,
It could be one of us.
A nearby barn owner, maybe.
Yeah, other people have a right to be out here, but instead it's just everything gets quiet. It's like, I don't like this. There's somebody else out here.
We do the impossible. We are now doing a full office and acknowledging the whole film crew. We show the producer, Colt Straub, for the very first time, and we film it as he calls Trapper over, ostensibly off camera. This is not part of the show, for a private meeting, and he says, Trapper, when you guys were driving back here, Zach caught something watching you. He's got it. He's got that chip. And they verify it. And this terrible grainy footage, but you can tell it's a man. It's a man.
So the moment I was watching this, and there you see the entire team, all 6 of them in the shot, the whole guys are sitting there confused because they're looking at Jeff's footage, trying to figure out who's been watching them. And you hear another voice, a voice you've never heard before, say, "Hey, Trapper." And then he walks off to the side, leaving his team behind. And there's a guy out there, and it just pops up underneath, Colt Straub, executive producer. This, in terms of how shocked I was, if the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones, if that was like an 8, this would be a 172. This would be like if in the final episode of Breaking Bad, if Jesse got killed by a Bigfoot, and then Walter turned and started slapping on the glass of my television saying, "Jason Pargin, let me out of the TV." This fourth wall breaking moment, because guys, go back and watch any previous episode. Now with the knowledge that producer Colt Straub is there at every time. Like,
yeah. And Zach.
Of the times we're going to get to Zach in a moment. Don't get ahead of me here, because all of the times they have left Colt Straub to die. All of the things in this production that should have been fixed, knowing that there's an executive producer and it's not just these 6 men out there left to their own devices with no budget and a few cameras. There's a guy getting paid a salary to be the executive producer on this production. Is mind-boggling. But then when he says casually, "Well, you guys were driving back here, Zach, one of our cameramen, caught something on that side facing that way. And the guy he's caught, it's nobody in our production." So Zach is the name of, I'm not trying to be mean here, not just the worst cameraman in the history of cameras, but the worst person at any job in the history of jobs existing in the time that human civilization has existed. Zach is the guy who, when a Bigfoot walks up and punches Trapper into a lake, he only watches Trapper when the entire purpose of the show is to prove that Bigfoot exists. We know what Trapper looks like when he's in a pond. It's not the first time that's happened. The Bigfoot is 1 millimeter to the left of your frame, and you managed to not capture 1 pixel of him. Yeah, Zach should be in jail.
Yeah, Zach should be in jail.
I'm on Team Zach, and let me tell you why. In the Snallygaster episode, we laughed so hard as they all ran out of that house. If you haven't listened to all of these episodes, they were being attacked by Snallygasters, which are pterodactyls. And they decided it was assault on Precinct 13, only instead of gangs, there's pterodactyls. So they're playing that game, besieged in a house, and they decide, fuck it. And so they run back out of the house and jump in their Forest golf carts and drive away. And that episode ends with a shot from the road, watching this golf cart drive off into the distant night. I mean, visibly not getting attacked by pterodactyls, which is very funny. But that means that was Zach. That was Zach's lonely, heartbroken shot at he's like, guys, if I was Zach, like, fuck would I ever film a Bigfoot after that? Like, maybe I was trying before that, but I'm gonna sabotage your whole life.
I don't do any outside research for the podcast because I don't want to spoil like future seasons of this show. So I don't know if Colt Straub is actually a producer for this show, or if he's a character playing a producer, or if he could be like a hellhound breeder who's been like haunting these guys, and we'll find out later that he's behind everything. I don't know.
Let me tell you this. I immediately looked up Colt Straub on IMDb. He's done multiple shows of this nature and some of the spinoff type shows. This is his big hit, Mountain Monsters. So all the rest of them ran for one season. Also, he's on Twitter, and I saw that he was on Twitter and immediately held my breath to see if he follows me or any of us. And he's not been on there in years. So he used it briefly and then got off. I thought, oh my God.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Is he on TikTok?
Is this guy going to show up at one of our houses? But yeah, anyway, so.
I just love that they set up this shocking revelation and like the show feels like, of course you understand how important this is. But then the shocking revelation is there was a guy out here. And so I was holding my breath, waiting for them to say the next thing that was going to be shocking. But no, it was just that there was a guy out there. I was like, wait, what? Why are we? No, you're right. The big twist is that the producers are out here. But then they start to spin it. Trapper runs through all of their everything that's happened, all of the evidence that they've found, and then says like, but most importantly tonight, we found out someone is watching us, and I'll tell you one thing. It's a scary, dangerous situation when this team is stalked. So you have been before. What?
That's how Huckleberry met his wife.
All the obsessed groupies that are normally turning up at their shoots.
You're right. Canonically, she is a chupacabra, and that they were being stalked by chupacabras at the time. So I guess that does check out.
But also, I do love the idea of them calling up Donna, who's wanting to know if she can go back home. Like, can I return to my home where the Wildman has chased me from home? It's like, well, we got evidence that the Wildman exists. But even more important, there's somebody out here stalking us, the Ames team. And that's now what we're focused on.
They made Donna's life so much worse. They're like, not only did we not do anything about your Bigfoot problem, now there's a bunch of weirdos presumably following us around who are on your property.
It's not over. Buck escalates this again, saying, knowing someone's out here watching us gives me a sickening feeling. So first of all, now you know how all those big feet feel.
Also, you're making a TV show.
He goes on to say, Trapper wants to hold back and watch and see what happens. I understand that. I want to fight. You want to fight who?
Buddy.
The guy that looked at you?
Oh, our boys have no chance in that fight. They are noisy, stupid. They can't figure out how guns shoot. They lose fights to creatures that don't exist. Hills, puddles, doors. One man with a knife would take out this entire team by running away and then circling around and killing them while they're stopping to measure his footprints. They cannot fight.
Oh, it's going to be real bad news if there's ever some kind of, I don't know, rogue team that comes into play.
Oh, God, I can't wait. It's so obvious that's what they're setting up. They have no fucking chance.
And we know they're not going to have any chance because of the several seasons of television they've showed where in their improv, where they make up something that does not exist, they get dunked on every single episode. So now they've invented an entirely new way to get dunked on. Now they can get dunked on from multiple directions every episode. God, it's just going to be a Harlem Globetrotters game out there. Just big feet on trampolines doing flips over them. Rogue team pulling down their pants.
That's really what this is. It's like if the Washington Generals filmed themselves camping. That's what the show is.
That's great. That's exactly what this show is. Trapper sums it all up by saying, this team is out to prove Bigfoot exists in Appalachia, and tonight we learned we may not be the only ones out here trying to do that. Dun dun dun!
You're this 37th Bigfoot show, you dumb fucking asshole.
Why is it sinister? Why is that bad? You got a friend. You made a friend, is what you did, and he's shy. What an amazing disaster of an episode. What is your favorite quote, Sean?
Oh, geez, let me check my notes. I guess it might have to be Buck Howlby. Get in the motel room and get naked, and you take your shit to the laundromat.
It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat. I think my favorite quote was, it wasn't something we talked about. It was when they first arrived at the trap knowing that the Wildman had not gone for it. And Trapper immediately says, oh, he saw the trap. And Willie says, very hurt, well, you think he saw my trap? And Trapper goes, yeah, in the moonlight. And Willie really sullenly says, I guess moon is awful bright tonight. just broke his heart off screen. Like, didn't even pay attention. Trapper doesn't even know. Jason, what's yours?
After the incident where Wild Bill hit the stick on the tree and it exploded, Buck says, "The only thing I heard rattle was Willie's nuts."
I hate to give it to him, but that's just good writing.
Because you have to be a Bigfoot teacher, you have to open up your mouth. You have to be a Bigfoot teacher. All your friends are so knocked out. You had to have the last word last night. You know what everything's about. You had to have the white hot spotlight. You had to be a Bigfoot last night. Whoa, whoa.